Hey, let's talk about communication. I'm giving you another communication tip today, which is really important. Of course, I think all communication tips are important, but if you're wanting to communicate consciously, there's a few things that you really need to know. Like, first of all, being able to own our part and share with whoever you're talking to, whether it's a friend, beloved, family member, whatever. Own your part. Even sometimes your boss, like, it actually can de-escalate things. And so that would look like, I own that I could have done this better. I own that I didn't know this. I own that I thought you meant this when you meant that. You know, so you can own your part. In any conversation, in any situation, there's something you can own. Like, a lot of people, I hear them say, like, I gave you 2 years of my life. And it's like, well, you made a choice to give them those 2 years. Even if it was hard and rough, you still chose to stay in it. It doesn't mean that you chose to have necessarily the pain, but you chose to stay in it. So that's something you can own. That's always helpful. So that's one really important tip. But then the other tip is when somebody comes to you and you're having a conversation and they own something, especially when it's a triggered conversation or heated or whatever, and then the person just goes, okay, this is what I can own. Most of the time when we own something, it starts de-escalating the conversation. There is one point where it doesn't do that, and that is when the other person decides to point fingers and go, yeah, you did do that, and da-da-da, and kind of like attacks or goes after the person for owning something. Because first of all, that doesn't create a safe space. The person then who's owning something goes, well, I don't want to own anything else because I'm going to just be, it's going to just be thrown in my face. And it actually spirals it up instead of spirals it down. And so what we're wanting to do is de-escalate things. So if somebody owns something, say, you know, say, wow, thank you for that. And then the greatest thing is to go inward and go, what can I own? What can I own in this? And be vulnerable, because owning something is vulnerable. It's like, wow, I'm owning that I'm not perfect. I'm owning that I'm human. I'm owning that, you know, I could have done better. But if only one person is owning it and the other person's like, you know, yeah, you're right. You did do that wrong. It doesn't make for a conscious communication. It doesn't make for a good, healthy relationship in that aspect. And so it's good to, like, always bring the attention to us. It's like that whole thing, like when you're pointing a finger at somebody, there's still 3 fingers pointing back at you. So when you can own your part, and then when your person that you're talking to is owning their part in you, it's like it de-escalates. And when the other person does own it, it's like, thank them, like, wow, thank you so much. Oh my God. And then let that soften you and let it go, seep in to go, okay, I realize I can own this too. Owning our stuff and then honoring the other person for owning it. All of this is all about empowerment. Sometimes you need to slow down. Sometimes you need to take a break. Like if somebody comes at you and says, oh yeah, you did do that, you might want to say, this might be a good time to take like a 5-minute break and come back, because right now I feel like we're a little charged, and before we say anything we don't mean, be a good thing to sit with, and then come back to the conversation. Always come back to the conversation. Always come back in 5 minutes, and don't let the 5-minute break thing start another argument, because sometimes a lot of people think taking a break means something that it's not. It means this is to help the relationship. So anyway, I hope that supports you. Please ask any questions below. I would love to hear any comments. I am Heather Ray Dawn. I'm a relationship and intimacy coach, as well as an empowerment coach. I work with couples and women. I would love to hear from you.